All right, hi everybody. Meteorologist Bryce Jones here alongside the man himself,
Good morning.
Mr. Jude Redfield.
Good afternoon, about.
Yeah, I know.
Almost there. You're going to be on the midday show, WDRB News.
Yeah, it's starting here in 35 minutes from now. But of course, I know a lot of you guys don't have TVs at work, or you're not supposed to be watching TV at work. So
Who?
you get away with it.
Don't tell
You
anyone.
get away with it.
So are we calling the snowstorm off? Is it over?
Yeah, it's done.
Done?
Nothing.
It's coming, baby.
And it's the first time that we're getting accumulation, real accumulation, at least this season. So now a lot of people are really interested. I got family and friends texting me, all right, how much are we, like it's on the down low or something. Like I have a secret answer for them.
It's like this weird adrenaline rush. When snow gets mentioned, people get excited, like a nervous excitement, a mad excitement, like every kind of emotion comes out.
Yeah.
I see more emotion with snow than like any other weather ever.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
It's the wildest thing.
And then people forget how to drive in it, and you get a quarter-inch of snow on the ground, and it's like, and guess who's doing traffic tomorrow?
Mike Marshall's off for like essentially the entire month of December.
Yeah.
Good for you, Michael.
Yeah, lucky old Mike.
Bryce and Matthew and other people will be helping out with traffic.
Lucky old Mike.
Mike takes a little time off.
Yeah, we may have some slick spots tomorrow. We do have a winter weather advisory. If you were watching Jude this morning, if not, now you see it. Those counties in Indiana got added at some point during the morning as well. The only counties not included, and to be honest, they may as well go ahead and include them, are Hart, Marion, Greene, Taylor, and Adair counties. That starts at 10 o'clock tonight and goes through 9 a.m. Tomorrow morning, and that's just our area. And Jude, you pointed out this morning when we were looking at the wide view here, that big old bubble of nothing right there in eastern Missouri and southern Illinois. So explain exactly what that is.
So you have two pieces of energy. This is a storm system that really has not even come close to forming yet. You have some of it streaking out of the Central Plains, coming out of Kansas into Missouri and Illinois, that'll head up towards central Indiana. The real moisture source is coming off the Pacific and the Gulf. So in Arkansas into western Tennessee, you follow that up towards the Ohio River. There's two pieces of energy coming together, and they're probably going to do a little bit of phasing on top of us. So where you get into that void, that gap, that's why you don't have a winter weather advisory out there, because there's not going to be a lot of energy to produce significant amounts of snow or ice. They're going to probably get a big old, maybe not an entire swing and a miss, but just light amounts.
They're going to look at folks around them and be like, man,
snow
you guys got 4 inches of snow?
Of us.
I know, I got nothing. And as Jude was mentioning, those two areas of energy that we were talking about, we got one that's moving into Missouri now. That's kind of the main snow maker, but it's not going to be able to do that by itself. It's going to have to combine with the moisture that's coming out of the Gulf also. So you got two different areas of energy. You've got one down here near Houston, and then you got the one up here near Kansas City. Well, these two are going to meet, as Jude mentioned, right over our area.
Truly, right on us.
Literally right on top of us. And that's going to be where and why we actually start to see our snow totals go up. But the question is going to be, is where do those merge? Because some models that we've been looking at this morning, and Jude mentioned this morning on the air, some of these models are waiting for that to fully phase until it's east of like I-65.
And we only have like a 6-hour window where the snow's going to come down and thump, sort of like midnight to 6 a.m., 11 to 5, somewhere in there. So if this thing doesn't come together right when we're forecasting it to come together, and say it waits 2 to 3 hours, then you're going to take the snow that we're expecting and shove it a little farther to the east. Our amounts will be lower. This is not a weatherman's crutch, like, oh, they're coming up with excuses. This is not uncommon for this to happen. It's just the one caveat to this that could limit snow, or the opposite. If it phases, say it phases 3 to 4 hours earlier out west, well, then our snow totals are going to be a lot beefier. That for sure. That is the one aspect of this. I don't want to say it's a slam dunk, and no forecast is ever a guarantee, but that is the one thing with this that could mess it up. Otherwise,
make or break it,
Otherwise, we know it's going to be cold enough for mainly snow. There's going to be moisture to where we're talking snow. It just, when exactly does it come together?
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of one of the main differences. Once we look at Advanced Track with the least data, what it looked like yesterday, is the fact that what's moving on in does look like it's going to be mostly snow. So that's really going to help in terms of limiting any of that sleet that's trying to roll in. I know we mentioned some freezing rain, and people were like, freezing rain, man, that means ice storm, which, again, this is not anywhere near that case.
Sometimes you hate even mentioning that
Yeah.
just because a lot of times it's confusing, and you go to that automatic conclusion like freezing rain, here comes icicles dangling. Like there could be, and there will be, a little bit of a wintry mix at the onset in some areas, but there's no indication it's going to be significant.
Right, and as Jude mentioned this morning, if you watched, and if you didn't, now you know, a lot of this is going to hold off. Well, all of it's going to hold off till after sunset. But, I mean, you know, it's basketball season now. Kids got basketball practice. All the indoor winter sporting events are going on. You got dinner plans tonight, even if it's a late dinner plan. Data is going to hold most of this off until mostly after 8, if not after 9 o'clock. You see, we're dry here. Our southern communities start off in a little bit of that cool rain. And some scattered snow showers start to roll in here, albeit light, Jude, after like 10 to 11 o'clock. And you see there's a little bit of mixing in there, mainly south of Louisville, kind of in the same spot we've been talking about for the last few days. But what's rolling through here is pretty light, and it's pretty scattered.
And that look that you see, it's almost like just a scattering of up there. You've got some areas of snow, rain, a little bit of mix. That is not organized. No. That is the moisture arriving. That's that piece of energy coming out of Colorado and the Midwest, grabbing it and pulling it up, but it's still not formed
Exactly.
yet.
They're not fully phased yet. And this is what we were talking about. If these two energies do not phase early enough, then this is what it's going to look like for a lot of tonight. It's just kind of scattered crap, and it's not fully widespread, put together snow. But most data will agree here that as you go through the night, here's 1 a.m.
Starting to
we're starting to group it together. We're keeping that cold rain down near the parkways.
It's also streaky. Before it forms, you're going to get these intense bands. Like that. That one that goes from Paoli up towards Seymour. That is some intense snow. It might not be in that location, but that is the phasing starting to come together, and you start to crank out some pretty heavy snow for a while. Again, if this doesn't fully form, you can have a band like that, but look at the gap around Louisville.
That's exactly what I was going to mention.
There's going to be places that get a rip-off zone.
Yeah, areas like this, these kind of like little dry slots and these little dry pockets, that's going to be kind of what kind of breaks a lot of the forecast for some of us, because not everyone's going to get treated equally. I'm going to tell you right now, some of you are going to be disappointed waking up tomorrow. Now, not everybody is, and most probably won't, but areas like this where you start to get these little dry areas and these little dry lines coming in, it kind of cuts down on some snow totals to where, like, you may get an inch of snow or just under that maybe with a dry slot rolling in, and then, you know, your aunt, your cousin, a county away has got 3.
One of those bands that formed is dumping, and then you've got that, like, oh, man, it never came together. It snows, but it'll snow for 15 minutes and stop, and then another 15, 20 minutes of snow, and you got a covering and an inch.
And not all data shows it, but a lot of the high-resolution data shows some kind of little dry slot somewhere in our area. And where that ends up is going to be where those low totals are. But just see, by the time we get to the middle of the night, this thing fully comes together, at least in most data early on, enough to where we get a good amount of widespread snow basically for our entire area. And then it's on out of here. You talked about these things moving really quick earlier.
It's already along and east of I-65 at 5 a.m. From 6 to 8, we're left with basically nothing. Just a little cleanup.
Exactly. So by the morning commute, there's no snow falling, except for maybe a few flurries, but it's going to come down to what's on the ground. Because, I mean, you get an untreated neighborhood road in this scenario. It doesn't take much for it to cover up the road because we've been cold.
Yeah, we were in the low 20s this morning.
I mean,
much of the area.
Pavement temperatures aren't going to take very long to get colder. So that'll be out of here by tomorrow. And then by the afternoon, you may have a few flurries, a stray little light shower around. But that's it. So I'm going to take us into a few different models that we look at as meteorologists. And there's dozens and dozens and dozens of models that we look at.
Well, you get this loaded up. I was going to mention something because quite often in the winter, we'll hear people refer to winter storms and this and that and say, well, it never happens like this in the spring or the summer and the fall when it's rain. Well, it does. This isn't unique. The fact that we're looking at a storm phasing and cutting off snow areas, it happens with the way rainmakers come together as well. It just usually isn't that big of a deal, because if you have a rainstorm coming together and trying to phase are you really caring about if you're getting 1/10 of an inch, 15/100ths, or 3/10 or 4/10? No, not really. You're like, well, it rained. It rained. Okay, well, when it comes to this, and if you have 1/10 of an inch of liquid versus 3/10 or 4/10 of an inch of liquid, that's a
It's a
1 to
big
4
range.
inch snow range. So that's why it's so crucial to figure this out. Obviously we want to get every forecast right. We don't want to be wrong with predictions of rain.
Right, but this is why snow forecasting is so difficult and so particular. Yeah, it makes you want to rip your hair out. I like doing it because I like the challenge of it. But then when it's snowing, I'm like, no, that's not enough. No, and it all comes down to like 1/10 of an inch, 100th of an inch here or there of water. So we're going to pull a few different models. I'm going to show you kind of the discrepancy in data that's still happening 12 hours away from this thing happening. So this
I'm interested to see these because I haven't seen the updated
So
yet.
this is the RPM model. We use this this is like an in-house kind of weather model we use in our system.
Look at
and look at the streaks. They're all over the place. So Hardinsburg's got less than 1/2 an inch. Louisville's just got over that. And then you go up to Seymour, Madison, you're like, whoa, all right, you got 2 to 2.5 inches. Don't take this as gospel because wait till you see the next one. Here's the GFS. It's the American model. That one is a little more consistent with what we've been seeing from a lot of data, to where Jude was mentioning just a second ago and earlier this morning that if this thing waits a little too long and phases east of 65, then those higher totals are getting pushed that way, which is why you see the higher totals east of 65. And then we go to another one. We go to the NAM snowfall totals, and here we go again. So
got Paoli less than an inch, and then almost 4 inches down near the Cumberland to Bluegrass Parkway.
Yeah, so this one has like 2 inches for Hardinsburg. You go back 2 graphics ago, and then there's less than 1/2 of an inch. So you see kind of where the difficulty comes in.
And there's a lot of moisture to work with because the subtropical jet stream coming off the Pacific through Texas, Mexico, the Gulf moisture, like there is a lot of moisture.
Yeah.
It's just that this thing is coming together so quickly and moving at like 50 miles per hour. If this was a 12-hour snow event, like everything would be shut down tomorrow.
Absolutely.
But it's just in and out.
Absolutely. So each one of our meteorologists, first of all, we all make our own forecasts. That's one of the kind of not discrepancies, but kind of the misconceptions with meteorologists. We take like the National Weather Service's forecast, which they're great at what they do as well. But we all have our own forecast. So this is what Jude had this morning. And you'll notice when I show mine here in a second, they're very, very similar. We're expecting generally around 1 to 3 inches for our entire area. And we put that range in there for a reason because of what you just saw. There's those weird streaks where some of us get like 1/2 an inch, an inch, and then 2 counties over, you may get 2 to 3 inches.
It really does look like from I-65 off to the east, there's probably going to be some counties that exceed 3 inches of snow.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
absolutely. As this thing comes together, it should explode with intensity to where it snows. There might be a couple moments where it snows at 1 inch per hour for 30 minutes or 40 minutes, and it's pouring down snow.
Yeah, and then it lightens up, and that's the general consensus. Because here's mine: we see our brains work very similar here, to where
looks like mainly, a reverse Pac-Man.
Yeah, exactly. It does. Mainly along and east of 65 is where we're talking about for those totals potentially to go up to around 3 inches or more. For some of our area. So I put this graphic together. This is a Snow Panic Club, and I like to use this, especially this time of the year when you see a lot of people posting social media hype. You see these crazy totals a week out, and then it freaks you out, and I get it. But, this isn't one of those scenarios, Jude, where we're talking a major winter storm. In fact, I'd say probably about 90% of our area won't even get to winter storm criteria.
Yeah, I mean, unless... Well, I would only imagine winter storm warnings will come out if this thing starts to form, and we mentioned the gelling together a little farther west. If that's the case, we're going to know about that by 8, 9, 10 o'clock tonight with Mark and Rick. They'll see the indication, and if it does come together 2, 3, 4 hours earlier to our west, then once you start to exceed the chance of 4 inches of snow, then we would have to issue a winter storm warning. But if it's 2 to 4 inches, 4.3, 3.1, the bottom line is this is all coming down fast in the overnight.
Yep.
For 6 hours, we have steady snow that's going to set up for some of us. And when that happens, you can't have road crews getting the entire area. There are going to be roads snow covered tomorrow morning when school districts are trying to make the decision. They look outside. They can't wait till 7 or 8. At 5 o'clock in the morning, if all the roads in many of these counties are snow covered, then things are going to be shut down.
And it's going to be difficult for a lot of these school districts to make these decisions, which we don't make the decisions for them, by the way. Sometimes they'll reach out to us for help a little bit, but we never say you need to close school down. That's their decision. But in this kind of scenario, a lot of these school districts, including JCPS, I'd be shocked if they made a decision before 3, 4, 5 a.m.
Yeah, because it's not snowing early enough.
Exactly. And, if one of these streaks misses Louisville and we get kind of in that little dry slot that we showed earlier, then the roads may not be bad in Louisville and JCPS might be open, but Bullitt County may be closed. It's going to end up being kind of one of those scenarios.
In fact, I would think, if it's 11 o'clock tonight and they throw out a decision like schools closed or what, that takes some courage.
Yeah.
Because at that point, this thing...
You're kind of banking on...
Oh, yeah. They're banking on the forecast being 100% accurate.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not always 100% accurate.
Especially, in this scenario, like Jude mentioned, if this thing was already phased together, these two areas of moisture were already bundled up to our west, it'd be a slam dunk. Boom, we're getting a winter storm. But, it's not the case this time around. So it's all going to come down to what roads are treated, what roads aren't, and where those little streaks end up. For tomorrow afternoon, as we start to head into tomorrow once that finally starts to roll out of here. So we'll take a few questions here after be back on air in about 20 minutes. So we've got a little bit of time. If anybody wants to ask some questions here, we'll go through a few of them. Jude, you can take it.
It says, oh, goodness, we don't really know here in LaRue County. When is it going to be? LaRue County could start to get some of the cold rain, maybe a brief mix after 8, 9, 10 o'clock tonight. That does not look significant at that point.
No.
I would say in LaRue County, that changeover to all snow, maybe after 3 a.m., after 2 to 3 a.m., to where you might get all of this within a 2 to 3 hour window where it snows pretty hard during that time. That would be the LaRue, Grayson, Washington, Marion, Greene, Taylor, Adair County, the southern parts of our county where we said there's not even winter weather advisories out, that there could be some of the higher snow totals there because there's more moisture.
Exactly. It's going to depend on when that switchover occurs. If you're too warm down in Adair County, for instance, then it's going to be mostly cold rain, but a lot of that moisture is down there. So if you see a quick switchover, it's going to be that heavy, wet, slushy kind of snow. That's rolling on through. Leanne on Facebook asked, traveling from EKU, would I be okay leaving here at 11 a.m. Tuesday? Yes, Leanne, you would. Other than, watching for some slick spots on the interstate, the snow's going to be long gone.
Doing interstate travel at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning in Richmond, if they don't have the interstates cleared, it's because we picked up like 8 inches of snow and this thing went bonkers.
Yep.
If the forecast verifies, Richmond could have quite a bit of snow, but the interstate, we're talking interstate travel. We can't predict some of those back roads over there, but they should absolutely have I-75, I-64 pretty good by 11 a.m.
Right. After we get through the morning rush, the tires are warming up the pavement a lot and the crews are out there, especially on the interstates. This isn't a scenario where we're getting so much snow that the plows aren't going to keep up on the interstates and we're going to have to shut down interstates and the whole city shut. This isn't that scenario at all. But, those back roads, it doesn't take much. The ones that aren't as traveled as much, ones that aren't treated.
We got detoured. Was it this past summer or one of the summer vacations in the last 2 years? We got off at the exit by Buc-ee's.
Oh, yeah.
Over there. And we had to take some of those winding roads going, if you're not on the interstate, it's a different ball game, different animal when you start to branch out. So if you're leaving EKU via any other road other than 75 or 64, we can't really help you at that point.
Yep. Austin Ballard on Facebook, any travel impacts for Tuesday PM commute and beyond? Other than the slick back roads that we mentioned, interstate travel, as Jude talked about, should be fine. By then, the interstate should be pretty good to go unless we see some kind of Mother Nature decides to go freako mode on us.
Maybe a little refreeze Tuesday night, I guess.
Like some black ice maybe could be possible by Wednesday morning. Alicia Haynes on Facebook says, my husband just started his new job. We don't have 4-wheel drive here in Jefferson County. He really doesn't want to miss Obviously, since he just started, worries me taking him early tomorrow. Yeah, so it's one of those scenarios, Alicia, to where if you don't have four-wheel drive, and four-wheel drive can only help you so much when the road's covered in snow anyway. It's one of those where you're just going to have to take it slow. Again, the interstate should be okay, but it's more, honestly, watching out for other people and how other people are driving.
And it's hard to predict road conditions, following the snow. For the first few hours coming off the snow. I mean, there'll be some places that are in great shape.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then there's going to be
100%.
some places that just haven't had the chance to get treated yet.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
It's nearly impossible to predict all road conditions.
Kelly Schmidt, would it be okay for school to open? In Louisville, I work in childcare. How bad will it be? So again, Kelly, if you're just, I'd say you just joined, you're a little late to the game. That's fine. It's going to be where these streaks end up. Louisville may end up in this little dry streak to where we get less than Oldham County gets, or it could be the opposite. Schools I would say it is a decent possibility that some schools will call off tomorrow. But I cannot tell you that they will with 100% certainty. And that includes JCPS. A lot of these school districts, I feel like to wait until JCPS makes a decision and then they make their decision. But if one heavy band is going right over like Washington County and not over Louisville, then Washington County is probably going to cancel school and Louisville won't. So that's what that's probably going to come down to. Let's see. Holly Ann, this looks like less of a mix of freezing rain or ice. Yeah, you're right. So I would even say even the last 2 days, it looked a little bit more likely that we'd see a decent thick band of some of that mix, and that's kind of gone down as the new high-resolution data's come on in.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. More snow than anything else.
We don't have to worry about getting the bread and milk or milk from the store from the storm.
That's your call.
I mean, if you want to, you can. If you need milk, go get milk. But
do you need eggs? Sunny side up sounds pretty good.
You go.
We did some scrambled eggs over the weekend. Go make some French toast. Go get some, whatever.
Bo Michael, we know how this is going to go. We're going to get no snow and then 60-degree weather. Hey, Bo, look, if that happens, I'll tell you what. If we get 60-degree weather tomorrow and nobody gets any snow, you can come take my job.
I'll jump in the Ohio River with you.
There
tomorrow.
You go.
How's that?
That sounds good.
If it's 60 degrees, if it's 50 degrees tomorrow,
yeah, really.
I'll jump in the Ohio River with you.
Really? Even if it's 40.
There's odds of it
there you go.
overproducing. So we touched on that a little bit earlier. The chances that this could exceed the current forecast totals is there if these two areas of energy form a little bit more than what the forecast is calling for now. So if it comes together 4 hours in advance of what we're looking at right now, and we start to see that snow not so scattered and more of a gelled area of snow beginning at 11 o'clock and midnight, then absolutely there'll be some overachieving snow reports out of this. No question about it.
Absolutely. And, this is kind of where some of you, if you're a fantasy football person, you'll know what I'm talking about. I like to use the terms bust and boom. And your players, they can boom to have a high week, or they could bust and have a really low week. And this is one of the scenarios where some of you are going to probably bust and some of you are probably going to be probably some going to boom with this scenario, depending on where those little dry areas end up at tomorrow night. All right, we'll take a couple more here. And I got to run on out of here.
Better get a wine supply.
There you go, Kathy.
Oh, is that Kathy Satterwhite? Yep.
Yep.
There she is.
Yep.
Cheers.
When will the temps be high enough to melt anything that falls? Heather Blackwell says.
It doesn't warm up a lot. I mean, it'll be a gradual melting. I mean, if the snow happens and is on the ground tomorrow, it's going to be tough to get much higher than low to mid 30s. This time of the year, you're talking about the lowest sun angle imaginable. So snow's on the ground tomorrow. Wednesday, highs in the 30s, maybe trying to warm up a little bit. But if the snow's on the ground, it's going to take a little while for it to melt. I mean, you get 3 inches of snow. It's on the ground all day tomorrow.
Yep.
It's on the ground Wednesday, some melting. But you're going to have places in the yard that still have snow going into Thursday. And then there's another shot of Arctic air, polar air coming in on Thursday. So it's conceivable there could be pockets of snow in the yard, especially if it's shaded.
Oh, yeah.
Through Thursday
100%.
into Friday.
Absolutely. And, it's not like last year when we got the 8 to 10 inches of snow in our area and it took like a month for it to melt.
All of January.
This time it's not a ton of snow to where it's going to take forever to melt, and we are above freezing. we just don't have a lot of sunshine this week either to help out. So I got a lot of people asking about specific areas for snow. So I'm going to pull up my snow map that I just made like 15 minutes ago one more time for you guys. And actually, I'll get us out of the way so you can see it a little bit better. So this is what I've got for right now. 1 to 2 for areas in white. You could argue maybe 1 to 3 because there are going to be some locations that could get up to that even in the white. But that's just kind of the general consensus. But what we see generally in the model data right now is east of 65 has a little bit of a better chance of having more than 2 inches of snow or more even than 3 inches of snow. There's going to be a couple pockets in there, Jude, where some of us do end up getting a little bit more than that. So. Yeah.
You have to be on TV in 9 minutes.
Yeah, no, I better get out of here. Thank you guys for joining, though. Seriously, if you have any more questions, you can obviously message one of us. I'm going to be on WDRB midday here at noon. Rick and Mark will be on. Mark will be on at 4,
and
5.
They'll be on streaming at some point.
Yeah, I'm sure after the 6 o'clock is over, that they'll both be on here, and they'll have a new update. And look, model data is still evolving as we go through the day.